101 East St. Louis. 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return. It's time for the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show. Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on 101 ESPN.
Back in the neutral zone, Florida's going to dump it in. Hofer, who played in that game in December in Florida, allowed just the 2 goals. The Blues the other way. Neighbors a partial break. Score! He did it deep. He shot it. And a laser to the back of the net has tied the game. 1-1. 15-14 to go. First period. Neighbors 13th of the year. Panthers sent it out. Intercepting as he jumped the route was Broberg. Trailed it. They shoot. They score. Philip Broberg made it happen. Kyrou made him pay. 2-1 St. Louis. Jordan's 12th of the year. Ekblad flips the backhand over to the far wing. All the way up to the line, and they lost it. Good stick there by Berggren to Falk. Falk wheels his way in. Drives the middle of the net to Berggren, and they score! Absolute puck grit by Justin Falk. And Berggren able to bury the chance. It's 3-2 Blues. 5:33 to go. First period. It's their first 4-on-4 goal of the year. 30 seconds into the second period. Good move by Sundqvist. Gets his way over the line, drags it, shoots it, score! He snapped it on goal and fell off the blocker of Tarasov. Rolled its way in like it was walking in the park. And the Blues have a 4-2 lead. Old school hockey right now. Snuggerud far side. Blues on a late power play. To the goal, and blew up off the stick of Buchnevich. They recover, Snuggerud over to Falk. Far side, Kyrou. Falk straight away. Now to Buchnevich. To Kyrou, his shot blocked. Back to Kyrou. To Buchnevich, far wing, they score! 7.6 to go!
The Blues have had so many of those that have bit them this season. It just feels nice to have, doesn't it? Like, it just feels nice to have one of those. Man, that highlight package felt like it was 10 minutes, and that doesn't even touch the surface of what happened in this game. Jim Hewer and I, Jordan Deacon and I were just talking like, what a wild but fun game. Like, just an exciting hockey game and a sold-out crowd here at Enterprise Center. Boy, do they get a show. So if you're on your way home right now and you were here, boy, I know the energy you're probably feeling right now. You're not going home and going to bed right away. Welcome in to our extended post-game coverage, the fourth period. You're on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN. Alex Ferrario back with you. Joe Vitale's going to join us in just a bit. We're going to hear from Jim Montgomery, hear from Justin Falk, have our final look. All of it will be live up on our YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL, so you could jump in on the conversation with us there, or you can text us at 314-399-9646. So lots to do. Let's jump right into it and get tonight's Ted Drew's 3 takeaways.
It's time for tonight's 3 takeaways, presented by Ted Drew's Frozen Custard, a St. Louis tradition for over 95 years. Unmatched quality, unforgettable taste.
All right, so the first thing, and we'll dive more into this with Joey once he gets up here. He's on his way up here to the broadcast booth, so he'll join us kind of mid-conversation here. But I got to start with Jimmy Snuggerud. I got to start with the heightened roles for these guys. You know, Joey talked about this on X's and Joe during our first intermission. We've talked about it in our pregame conversations, just about the shot mentality that Snuggerud's going through. And he talked about it with us after the game where he said, you know, yeah, he's finding more space, but you're just doing that because you're gaining more confidence and you're playing with really good players. But it's also because you have to start respecting Jimmy Snuggerud if you're the opposition. And the fact that he's able to find that open open space on the ice, the fact that he's able to find those opportunities to shoot and get the shots off. That's the real important part. Like, he's put, what was it I said? It was 61 shot attempts in his last 9 games. Tonight, Jimmy Snuggerud had 7 shot attempts. I mean, he is averaging about 7 to 9 shot attempts every single time he steps on the ice in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And the fact that those are going in is the part that's even more crucial, because it's great to get the shot attempts. It's even better to get the shot attempts and be confident that your shot can go in the back of the net. It's got to be deflating when you're taking all of those and your shooting percentage is at like 2 or 3%, but he keeps shooting. He keeps growing. And let's also remember it's the first full season for a guy like Jimmy Snuggerud. So the more shots you take, the more time they go into the back of the net, the more confident you can become. And my goodness, that shot from Jimmy Snuggerud on the power play, I mean, it was lights out as Joey V is joining us now. I mean, just a lights out shot from Jimmy Snuggerud on that power play. That one-timer is a real threat. And, you know, Joey, we talked with him afterwards, and I asked him, take me through that play, and it was the exact breakdown that you had on the call. He sees Jim Montgomery that says get into play, and he said, I just went to find quiet space. You know, you keep the play alive. Massive credit to Pavel Buchnevich for the pass that he made to Jimmy Snuggerud, because that one-timer, I mean, it doesn't happen without Buch making that pass, but, man, that's the weapon that makes you dream if you're a Blues fan.
Well, without a doubt, Alex, and, you know, started running a couple minutes.
Oh, you got a lot to do. You had to go from the bench to the broadcast booth all the way up to here, man.
Yeah, I tell you what, I had my buddy Bodie, my middle son, with me, and who's, of course, has had about 16 cups of candy here tonight.
That's perfect. So you just wore – so you took the stairs is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, we basically did. You know, it was, you know, being on that bench, and, you know, a couple things really stood out. I said on the broadcast, it was that timeout for Jim. And, you know, I can't get into the details of what I saw out of respect for what's on the board and kind of behind that bench. But the one thing I could say is when they were going back to that face-off circle for that face-off in the offensive zone, he said, let the puck do the work. Now, at the time, this was a 4-on-3. You know that Florida was going to stay tight. Now, as guys were coming out of the box still, Florida all game had a very tight penalty kill. They were keeping things away from the middle. The last thing you want to do is get kind of low percentage shots from the outside if there's no one really in front. And you know what? That's what they did. They let the puck do the work. Great revolution of passing, tape to tape, especially late in the third period where the ice gets a little bit chippy. And then I saw him kind of put his foot on the bench there and scream at Jimmy as that penalty that he was serving for Joe Hofer expired. He comes straight on the ice. And, you know, it kind of goes to the fact that you got to go to the coaching decision of having Jimmy Snuggerud serve that penalty, because if it's someone else, then you got to get him to the bench, then you got to get Jimmy on the ice. So a good strategic move by Jim to have Jimmy Snuggerud serve that penalty. He kind of gives him the heads up. He says, you're on the ice. He comes out of the box. He flies, goes right to that far corner, of course, where his one-timer threat is at. And then it's just the execution. You mentioned the one-touch pass from Buchnevich right through the middle of the ice. But just an exceptional shot, too, as that puck is rolling and it's up on end. For Jimmy to kind of get his blade around that and get as much meat behind that shot, the kid deserves it. He's been shooting pucks at an alarming rate, averaging over 3 shots over the last 10 games, or excuse me, 3 attempts at the cage over the last, 10 games there, Alex. So you knew he was due. I didn't think it'd come down to the stretch for him as the beginning of the third period. He took a bit of a shot there, and he had a little bit of a left hamstring injury. He was kind of trying to stretch it out on the bench. Ray really was keeping a close eye on him. I didn't think he was going to return in the game, and then, of course, he goes out there and does that and just brought so much energy in this building.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the stuff that you learn as you go through the season, what your body can handle, what you can handle. We talk so much about that one-timer, Joe. They've scored 4 power play goals in their last 5 games. And of those 4 power play goals, if I'm remembering these correctly, Kyrou had one against Winnipeg, which was a one-timer. I believe Dalibor Dvorsky's was a one-timer against the Dallas Stars. Shen, I think, was just a shot off of the rush. And then tonight you've got that one-timer. I mean, I know it sounds like Captain Obvious, but when you have that shot, it really challenges what penalty kills can truly do, and it makes your power play less one-dimensional.
Well, 100%. I mean, we talked about this a couple of games ago. You got to have that one-timer threat, and whether it be Dvorsky or Snuggerud, and we've seen a little bit from Jordan Kyrou. We're seeing that more and more. And I think, especially for a power play that's really struggled this year, it's, simplicity has got to be the key. You got to figure out a way to keep things extremely simple and then, take advantage of the opportunities. When you have a shot and a gift like Jimmy Snuggerud has, he's coming around to really using it now. I call it that healthy amount of selfishness. You got to be that healthy level of selfishness where understand this is what you do. This is one of your gifts. Taking your shot away if you're Snuggerud, that'd be like saying to Tyler Tucker, hey, you're not allowed to fight. Can Tucker still play in the league? Yeah. But you know what? He becomes less multidimensional if you take away fighting. Jimmy Snuggerud, can he still survive in the league without shooting? Yeah, sure. I mean, he's got great hockey IQ. He gets to great spaces, and he knows how to make plays. However, when you take away your greatest gift, you do become a little less dimensional, and you become more replaceable. So I think that it was really just a come-to-heart moment for him after he comes out of that surgery where he is healthy enough and he's shooting the puck more. And I go back to even, before he got injured. Remember, he got injured earlier in the year in a Vegas game. He blocks a shot. He ended up playing quite a bit of hockey after that. I think he was fighting through a lot of that injury. And this is why the Blues decided, kind of what we were talking about on the show today, you shut him down. You shut him down, you get the surgery needed because, it was one step backward, but it can propel you forward if he comes out on the right side of it. And I think he has come out on the right side of it. The shot is such a weapon. Again, being between the benches here tonight, had a great look at the one-timer. He had a shot actually right before that went right off the head of the goaltender Tarasov. I can't believe that one didn't go in, but it's just got so much pop and whip to it, and it's great to see a goal like that can really boost the young kid's confidence, getting the game winner late. He's got a great feeling going to bed here tonight. Of course, a good practice day tomorrow before the Columbus Blue Jackets come down on Saturday.
And he had a couple of shots off the face-off, too.
Yeah, he did.
My gosh, what a whippy shot he
right
has.
Off that.
The other guy I wanted to talk about with you, Joe, because you mentioned it on the broadcast, and both Jim and I noticed it from the get-go. I don't know what changed from last year with Pavel Buchnevich playing the center position and what this small sample size has been. But it does truly feel like a spark was lit for Buch, because not only has he been producing points-wise, he had a 2-point game tonight, but he also is just commanding the ice. Like you guys were highlighting him with the whiteboard on the bench. He was talking to Kyrou, kind of dictating play. I mean, he looks like a different player out there now that he's playing that center position.
Yeah, I think this was the best game of the season for him. And, to me, he was the engine. He had such presence on the ice. He had presence on the bench. And I think that he's relishing in this leadership role of being a centerman. On the broadcast, I said it. When you're a centerman, you're the quarterback. You come out there for faceoffs. You got to get everyone organized. You got to make sure everyone's on the same page. You dictate what's going to happen. You have to be the guy that's the driving force. You have to be the Papa Bear, if you will, and everyone's got to follow your lead. And you have the final say. So I think that, to me, he's always just loved talking shop. He's such a passionate player. He loves talking about things around the league. He watches a ton of hockey. Every now and then he'll critique something I said on the broadcast. And he watches everything, and he cares a great deal about what he's doing. And I thought tonight he really took control. And, when you have a player like that step up in a big moment and step up in games like this, can you find more consistency in it? Because that's what's going to turn this season over, and that's what's going to start building momentum right in the right direction, especially without players like Robert Thomas. I mean, I think you're looking for other players to step up. And, Alex, we talk so much about the young kids and Dvorsky and Snuggerud and Mayu. They got to step up. Yeah, they got to step up too, but don't forget about the veteran players. I mean, different veterans got to step outside their bubble and take control of the game. And I think for Pavel tonight and over the last couple of games, I think he's finding kind of a new groove and a leadership role. The way he's kind of organizing things on the bench, a very loud, very active player there. And, again, just a great spark and a good catalyst for the win.
I know there's that saying that you can't teach an old dog new trick. And I'm not trying to, demean anything with Pavel Buchnevich, but can a player at 31 years old at this point of their career, not saying he's like this old washed-up guy, but, somebody who's been in the league long enough, can you find that leadership, that guidance role later on in your career rather than just where people think it happens when you're 23 or 24?
No, I think so. I mean, gosh, we're maturing. You and I just hit 40 the other day. I feel like I'm a different human than I was at 30. I mean, from a mental and emotional standpoint, I think that you can't stop growing. You can't stop evolving. That's what Ryan O'Reilly, why he's still an active centerman in the league and probably going to be one of the most sought-after centermen around the trade deadline unless Nashville really turns things around and he stays in Nashville, because the evolution of how he continues to mature his game. One thing is clear. When you get older, you're going to get slower. your shot's going to slow down. You're not going to be maybe able to make as quick a reflexes because your body physically can't keep up. So as you start to slow down physically, how can you sharpen your tool mentally? How can you have more hockey awareness, hockey spatial awareness, if you will? And I think that's the opportunity for Pavel now, is to develop his game from a mental side, from a leadership side, because that's in your control. Communicating, being positive. There was a play in the game here where the Blues had a power play and Dvorsky took a penalty. He slammed the board with his skate, and he said something I can't say on the air. But, it's that. That's what if you're a coach, like, you want that. You want guys who are passionate.
Want that fire.
Yeah, you want fire. Gosh, you want energy. I mean, this is what this group really needs right now. And like I said, not just a presence on the ice. I mean, he was very active on that bench. It was a really fun thing to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So final one, Joe, and then we're going to let you go before Bodie finds another thing of candy over there. These one-goal games, we talked about it the other night of how important it is to be in these one-goal games. I have to imagine it's even more important developmentally to win one-goal games like this.
Oh, and to do it late. It's been twice versus the Dallas Stars in the last 2 weeks where you lose a game right at that minute mark. And this one, of course, under the minute mark. But those ones are just deflating. They're crushers. I mean, I know it's old history, but even going back to last year's, the way the playoffs ended with the Blues, I mean, you just couldn't get it done down the wire. And there was a lot of common threads earlier this season as far as this team just not getting the job done, whether allowing a goal late like we've seen over the last couple weeks with Dallas, or maybe you pull a goaltender and a lot of empty nets going in past you.
Yeah.
The last-minute heroics on this home sheet against the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, again, this one feels good. This one feels really good for the fan base, for the players, for the coaches, a ton of belief. And you know what? Your goaltender didn't necessarily steal the show.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Holford, he played great. He made some key saves when he needed to, but you also allowed 4 goals. So how great was it that you outscored your opponent? And for some reason this year, I mean, look at the 11 goals you scored against the Stanley Cup champions and the Florida Panthers. He had the 6 in December. That was the most they scored all season long. Another 5 here tonight. And one thing is definitely certain about when they've played Florida this year, they have just simply outscored their opponent. And when you do that, you bring your fans on the feet. And like I said, start to finish, it was just an exciting game.
You beat Florida twice, Tampa once, Carolina once. This is a wacky season, man.
Wild.
It's a wild season. And a wild game with, 25 penalty minutes or something like that told out? Just a weird one, man. Appreciate you, man. I loved you between the benches. It was fun tonight having you down there and hearing that kind of inside stuff throughout the game. So great job, man.
Thanks, Alex. Can't wait to do it all again on Saturday. Columbus Blue Jackets are playing some good hockey lately.
Blue Jackets come to town. Let's hear from Justin Falk and get our soundbite of the night.
The soundbite of the night is presented by Rocket Convenience Stores. Fuel your car and your daily cravings at Rocket Convenience Stores.
A weird game with all the penalties and stoppages and constraints and everything.
Yeah, we haven't had many like that. Most of our games are pretty low in the penalty department. Something we don't get a ton of power plays. I don't think we take a ton of penalties either. So it was definitely a little weird. Not much flow to it there for a while, even down to the end with the 4-minute and then the penalty on them. So good to come out with it. Obviously, the last-minute goal on our end feels a lot better than the other side. So it was good feeling when you wrap that.
It's a good feeling that special teams comes through and wins a game, and I know there have been opportunities here recently, and they haven't been there for you. Nice to see that it gets it done on that side.
Yeah, I mean, even within the game tonight, we were frustrated with our special teams again, not getting it done on either side of it, and then we knew we had a chance to step up there in the third, and mainly started with the penalty kill, like just get the kill, be aggressive, try and get some momentum off it, and don't let them kind of take over the game right there. So that was huge, and I think we did get momentum, and power play came up big at the right time.
What are you seeing on the assist to Bergeron?
Just throw it over there, to be honest with you. I was just thought I had a little space to kind of get into the zone, and I knew he was going that way, and then the D jumped me, and I just was trying to get it over there. I wasn't planning for a one-timer or anything like that. Just I knew he was there, and if I could get it past their D, he would have some space and time, and a great shot by him.
Is this Nuggerud shot just something that fans need to get used to, and just a glimpse of what he's going to be able to show here now and in the future?
Right? Yeah, hopefully. I know he likes to be over there, and I know he likes to take one-timers, so I guess we got to feed him the puck a little bit more through the seam.
About the maturity that he's shown, it hasn't gone in for him, but he said yesterday that he's got to keep shooting it.
Yeah, it's tough. He's a young guy, and he's learning the ebbs and flows of the National Hockey League. That's the hardest part, is the consistency as a player and as a team, as we've seen a bit this year. So it's a tough thing to learn and kind of get a grasp on it at a young age, and especially in his first full year. So for him to keep that attitude, I know he's putting in the work, and he definitely hasn't been down or shown that attitude at all. So he's been great with that, and good to see him get rewarded, like you said.
Kind of get a goalie fight there with Hofer?
No, hopefully not. Well, goalies, sure, but not goalie-player fight. That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. What kind of weight just kind of lists, knowing the 5-game losing streak and how close a lot of those games were, that you're able to pull out a close one tonight?
Yeah, it's great to be on this side of it. Tonight was a tough one. It was challenging us for sure. Down one, even down one, and then give it up 4-2 and give up the lead. Or let them tie it up, and so it was a push. We knew going to the third it wasn't going to be any different. It was going to be a tough third period against these guys. They play a tough game, and to get rewarded at the end is great, because we obviously had it go the other way a couple times here recently. But I think more importantly is to get rewarded. We think we're putting in a lot of work. We think guys are working hard. We don't think we're rolling over like the Dallas game, right? Down 3, have a tough end of the second period, come back out, put in a good third and a good effort, and not get the reward there. So listen, no one's feeling sorry for us, but it obviously feels better when that does happen, and you just know you got to keep going, and that stuff comes with time.
So you're talking about bringing the puck into the zone that one time there. Do you feel like tonight, whether it was Florida style play, was there anything about the game where the D was being a little bit more active tonight in terms of the offensive end?
Yeah, I mean, these guys, their style is pretty aggressive, so you got to try and jump up and create odd man rushes against them. They don't sit back; they're in your face. So that's the only way to get chances against these guys, is to skate, and you need the D to help in that regard. So yeah, that's definitely a great point.
Do you feel like that you guys are looking to do that more just in general, or was it just
No,
the way?
Yeah, definitely overall you want to be skating. D are a huge part of the game, especially offensively, moving pucks, moving your feet. It's just kind of the way the game is. It's a fast game right now, and moving your feet, if you don't do that, and whether it's forward or D, you're going to get stuck. You can't just look to make plays. You got to do it moving your feet and having some speed.
It's a really good point there from that reporter asking about the defenseman. I mean, Broberg gets an assist tonight. Falk a primary assist. Falk another primary assist on that Sundqvist goal, and a lot of those just came from the defenseman jumping into the rush and breaking things up in the middle of the ice, and then, of course, creating that odd man rush up the ice. And that's what Joey and I talked about in pregame earlier this evening, of that identity that they had last year. They haven't had it yet this year, man. To get your D into the rush like that, it disrupts the opposition's play, but it also makes your offense look so much more lethal. And tonight, they took advantage of that against Florida. Let's do this. Let's take a break. Come back here from Jim Montgomery, and then we'll have the final look as we close it down here on our extended post-game coverage of the fourth period as the Blues take down the Florida Panthers tonight 5-4 on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN.
to the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on 101 ESPN.
Final time tonight here on our extended postgame coverage, the fourth period. Alex Ferrario back with you in our broadcast booth at Enterprise Center, where the Blues took down the Florida Panthers tonight 5-4. You know, I just want to go back to it, what we were talking about with Joe there about Pavel Buchnevich. You know, he has gone through probably a lot of mud this season for the struggles that he has had, and it's not all on him. I mean, everybody has had their struggles this season on this team. But man, it's not just these last few games where he has played the center position, because, I mean, he's been really good for the Blues at that center spot. But even beyond that, you know, other than that Edmonton Oilers game, because that Edmonton Oilers one was a little bit distracting. But, you know, he picked up an assist against the Tampa Bay Lightning. That was when he was playing on a line with Bukestad and Berggren. He picked up an assist for that other game with Bukestad and Berggren against the Vegas Golden Knights. He had a good performance. Like, you're starting to see Pavel Buchnevich as that player that I think a lot of people expected him to be. But, man, ever since that center position has taken over, it's not just the play on the ice, it's what he's doing on the bench. It's what he's doing with the whiteboard. It's him talking to these guys, not really talking. I mean, there's been clips of him kind of demanding guys to be doing certain things. You really want more guys like that to just grab the bull by the horns. And if Pavel Buchnevich is doing that, man, what a vocal player that could be, because he's excellent on the penalty kill, can be a weapon on the power play, as you saw with that pass to Jimmy Snuggerud. And then more than that, it's just another option for you, barring what happens at this trade deadline, of you potentially moving pieces out. Pavel Buchnevich could be a very good middle six centerman for you to add to that depth that this Blues team had at the beginning of the season. Let's hear a little from Jim Montgomery after the team's 5-4 win over the Florida Panthers.
It's time to hear from the head coach, Jim Montgomery, presented by Fisher Window and Door Store, offering quality American-made Marvin windows and doors. Visit their showrooms in Brentwood or East Alton, Illinois.
4-minute kill there in the third period, sort of a momentum swing, and then obviously the power play comes through at the end.
I think it was. You know, we had already given up 2 power play goals, so the effort by our penalty killers was awesome. The response by our fans was awesome, and it gave us life. And then, you know, obviously the power play came through at the end there after a lot of good puck movement. We finally got one shot to go through, and it was a big one by Snuggie.
Was it automatic that Jimmy's going to go stay in the play? Joey Vitale said on the broadcast that you said get out there to set Snuggie up for that goal there.
Yeah, he was going on the ice. Yeah.
I mean, that's just obviously a shot that you got to have there, you know, late going. And, you know, you guys have been on him to shoot it a lot. What's it like to watch that as a coach?
Well, it's awesome for him to get rewarded, because he's been shooting the puck a lot. And right before that, you know, Gordon Kyrou hit their defenseman in the shin pad, very similar one-timer. It's good to see guys looking to shoot, looking to pound pucks.
It seems like you're behind the bench trying to manage all the minutes with all the stoppages and special teams and all that.
Yeah, that was one of the more hectic games behind the bench. I mean, you don't often have 3-on-3, and then it goes 4-on-3, and then they're 4-on-3, and then both teams had 5-on-3s. So it was a lot going on. There was more 4-on-4s than you're used to seeing, too. I think we had 3 separate 4-on-4s. So a lot of keeps you on your toes behind the bench. And it does get hard to get some guys ice time, though, in that situation. And that's, you know, some guys will end up sitting there for long periods of time, and I give the guys credit because they stayed in it. Because when their numbers were called, they went out and did the job.
You had mentioned that that's a team that once they get you hemmed in, it's tough to get out. They get that first goal. What do you feel like swung it back around your way in that first period?
Well, I thought that our wall play in the first period was really good. When you play against Florida, they're going to hem you in. If you win those wall battles and you're off the wall, you can have odd man rushes. And we had a couple odd man rushes that led to goals, and we almost had another one at the end of the period. We had a 2-on-1. That was another play that, if you can make them against them, it's not easy because they're the best in the league at doing it. You get odd man rushes, and then you got to take advantage of those.
If there was ever ever a case for if you're a game time decision, you should get out there. The 3 guys scored today, so that was kind of
Yeah. It's always good to get Jake Neighbors, Jordan Kyrou, and Sonny back. Sonny found his Guy Lafleur, dipsy doodle right through the middle and twisted wrister right in the corner, right? How many times have you seen that from him?
When did you know that the other two were? Sonny told us he knew yesterday he was going to play. What about the other two?
Well, first of all, Sonny should have told me that. That would have been nice. I'm glad he's telling you guys that. The other two, it was going to be how they felt this morning, and because it was very positive about how they responded day after the game. We were very happy with how they were both feeling. And I put it at 50-50 for both of them. And it was great. As soon as they took the morning skate, and I had already met with you guys, they came in, they're like, we're players.
It was 3 remind me to see Hofer and Kachuk behind the net there.
Well, that's Florida has done a really good job for 3 years now. Now it's 4. I don't want to use the word bully, but they exert themselves and they come after you. And I'm not saying that's what happened there, but what I'm saying is they have a level of intimidation to the way they play. They ran Hofer before that, the cross-check in the corner to Neighbors. When we're on the power play right before we scored. They do a lot of plays, and they do it really well. Like, they do it, and what I've seen is they don't end up in the penalty box. Other teams do, because they do it really intelligently, and it's something that, I think a lot of teams can, if you have the right personalities, you can copy that, because it leads to the other team getting off their game, and it leads to momentum and game management on your side. But you got to have the characters, the guys that want to get greasy and get dirty and take a punch in the face to be able to get those kind of swings of momentum.
So like forcing play on Neighbors in the corner there.
Yeah.
Mike, how important was it for the D to be active in terms of just the offensive end of the ice, and how much of that was, the style of Florida plays, how much of that is just something you guys need your Ds to be?
Yeah, it's something we always want our D to do, is we want them to skate. I think Broberg's been doing a great job of it all year, and Falk has too, in the way he does it. But it was nice to see 55, 23, 17 going. Even 75 was jumping in the rush tonight. And we think with their legs and their skill level, it's something that hasn't happened enough this year, but it's something that we think is a strength of our D-corps.
It's time to take a look back at tonight's game with the final look.
Driven by Pure Performance. Only stop for all your aftermarket vehicle needs.
I want to hone in on one of those things that Jim Montgomery said there, second to last answer for our final look tonight, because they asked him about the Panthers, and he said, they exert themselves to the point that frustrates the opposition. And he said, you have to have the personality that's okay getting greasy and getting punched in the face. We had the conversation early in the pregame tonight with Joey about, how they lose an identity and how you find that identity. And, man, I think what Jim Montgomery said there is what it really boils down to. You've got to find guys willing to play a certain style. And the Panthers just have guys, no matter if they're everyday players and have been there for 10 years or guys that signed via free agency like Luke Kunin. They get guys that come in, realize how they play, and then they just adapt to it. And for St. Louis, tonight felt like that identity that they played with last season down the stretch, right? Physical, finishing checks, heavy on the forechecks, suffocating through the neutral zone, jumping into the rush, not allowing any extracurriculars, standing up for the teammates, dealing with the adversity. That's the identity you have to enforce. That's the identity that you have to create. And to the Blues' credit, they played it well, and they have played it well these last couple of games. They just haven't won. But the only way you can create that identity, the only way you could get to the point where players are willing to take on that role and adapt to it is to get the feel of what it means to play that way and win. If you don't get the results and you play that way, then you're just beating yourself up and saying, well, that didn't get us a win. If you play a style and you get 2 points, and if you string 4 wins together, 5 wins together, 6 wins together, then you start to say, hey, this is what it takes to win hockey games. It's how the Blues won last season and got to the playoffs. They played the style, they realized that it was working, and then they kept doing it, and it was win after win after win after win. And for such youth on this roster to experience that, win it, and then try and build off of it, that's how you develop the identity. Now, you got to find certain players that are willing to play that way. You may have to change players here and there, but the core finds the identity, they adapt to it, and then everybody else jumps on board and plays that style. And that's how you become the Florida Panthers. That's how you become the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's how you become the Colorado Avalanche. You find it, you adapt to it, and players that step into new roles see how they play and play that style. So I give the Blues credit, man. This has been 5 straight games now to where I feel like they have played strong and have been the better team for a majority of the hockey game. 4 of those 5 have not resulted in wins. This one did. Hopefully you can see more of that as they continue to develop. But, man, Snuggerud had a phenomenal night. So did Jordan Kyrou. The defenseman jumping up into the rust. Pavel Buchnevich is the centerman. This was a very fun and entertaining night here at Enterprise Center. And hopefully Saturday will be the same. It's the final home game before the Olympic break. Final home game before late February. So make sure you get on out to this final game here at Enterprise Center as the Blues will welcome in the Columbus Blue Jackets. It'll be a 6 o'clock puck drop for some Saturday night hockey with a 5:30 pregame skate and an extended pregame starting at 5 o'clock on your home for the Blues right here, 101 ESPN. Huge shout out to Jim Hewer helping us out here in our broadcast booth and to our phenomenal producer Jordan Deacon back in our network studios. I'm Alex Ferrario once again, a 5-4 victory as the Blues defeat the Florida Panthers, only second team in the Western Conference that have beaten the Florida Panthers twice this season. And the Blues will hopefully take that momentum into Saturday to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll talk to you then. I'll talk to you tomorrow at 11 a.m. for BK and Ferrario. Have a great rest of your night, Blues fans. This has been the St. Louis Blues postgame show. You're on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN.
Thanks for listening to the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on 101 ESPN.